So a fan of K Michelle tagged K Michelle in a posting basically asking her, did she ever receive that apology from Rasheeda? If y'all don't remember, a couple of years back, well, not a couple, it's been over a decade at this point, um, where Rasheeda basically downplayed um the fact that, well, not the fact, allegedly, that Memphis used to put his hands on K Michelle. And I don't think that the fan, I don't know if she meant to do it or not, but when she did that, that sparked a big, I wouldn't say battle, but it went viral. Um, I don't know if she meant to light that flame. I couldn't tell you if she did or she didn't, but she did. And because just like Rasheeda has her fans, K Michelle has her fans too. So a lot of the time, some fans, when their idols or their favorite singer or actors hurt, they hurt as well. So or maybe the person just wanted to know because it was wrong. But nonetheless, let's dive into how I feel about the situation. Okay, so first and foremost, here's how I feel about the situation, right? Back when K Michelle and Rasheeda were on the show, and I remember when this was going on, I think I was in middle school or was I in high school? I was either in middle school or high school, I can't remember. But the thing is, I told y'all how I feel about Rasheeda. I feel she's one of those undercover mean girls. I have always felt that way. I didn't like how she did Kalina. I didn't like how she did Carly. I didn't like how she did K Michelle. And she strikes me as the type to do whatever for a check. Um, and to be honest, sidebar, I never understood why K Michelle was so, you know, it seemed like a lot of them always wanted to kiss Rasheeda ass, in my opinion, because I never understood that. I don't know why. I just never been that girl that felt like I had to link up with the popular girls to be somebody. You see what I'm saying? I've always had my own flow, and I just felt like I told y'all I'm gonna do a video within itself of how I feel about Rasheeda and her character because I feel she's flawed. She's very flawed. And I know throughout the years they were saying that Rasheeda would just, a lot of her storylines with Kurt were made for the show, with the baby out of wedlock. I don't know if it's true or not, but as far as how she did Kalina and, Kalina was riding for her and I just didn't like what she did. I just didn't like what she did. And it seemed like to me she wouldn't be somebody that I would associate myself with. But that's just me, I can't, and I love lipstick and as you can see, that's the only makeup I wear. I don't mess with my eyebrows. I told myself, you still got your eyebrows. Don't you go messing with them. Because I see all the time, it seems like it's a trend that people are shaving off their eyebrows and drawing them on, or nobody's messing with my eyebrows. I don't even get them arched. I get them cleaned up, get them, and I tell them I like them kind of thick, not too thick, but I don't wear foundation, eyeliner. I don't wear none of that stuff. All I wear is lipstick. And my lipstick is, I could you go with it or without it, I don't wear eyelashes. I don't wear none of that stuff. I believe in just, all you need is really, you don't even need it. A pretty lipstick. That's it. But nonetheless, I heard she has good lipstick, but I'm not supporting her. I just, I don't like her character. She could dress her ass off now. Don't get it twisted. You ask me, Rasheeda is the best dressed out of all the people on the Love and Hip Hop franchise, not just Atlanta. All the franchises. And to be honest, I always felt she could be a stylist. I've always felt Rasheeda could be a celebrity stylist. Um, I've always felt that should be another check to her because her taste in fashion, to be honest, I think she's gifted, but I think she's flawed. Okay. Um, Back when the situation first happened with K Michelle. Okay, I told y'all how I feel about K Michelle. I feel she's very problematic. I feel she could be very insensitive at times. But at the end of the day, K Michelle is funny. And a lot of people don't know how to take her. You know, I told y'all, I'm an alpha female as well. And a lot of times when you are an alpha female, people don't know how to take you. You know, I never been the type to straddle the fence. I never been the type that need people to put a battery in my back to speak up for myself. I never been the type that has to link up with somebody to fight my battles or recruit other people to, you know, and a lot of times when you can think for yourself and you know what you want and what you don't want, and a lot of the times people just don't know how to take that. They don't know how to receive that. And I feel K Michelle, I can't speak on if she's a bad person or not, but I put it to you like this. With that situation, um, I saw in the comments when the situation first happened, people were saying, well, what did she do for him to do that to her? And I think that's gross. Because we gonna dive into this situation first, but then we'll get into that this situation has reunited. We'll get into that, but let's cover this first for y'all that had clicked on the video and then wondered why. But anyway, nonetheless, I'm just bringing y'all up to speed for those that didn't watch the show. But nonetheless, so yeah. So the thing is, I told y'all I never been in a abusive relationship before, but I have gotten into it with guys with N words. Um, so I told y'all about the Chinese restaurant where the guy had spit in my face and I spit back at him. I threw chairs at him. I caught up with him in traffic, slammed my truck into his. And I told y'all in the process of me hitting in reverse and slamming to it again, I heard a chick yelling, "Oh my God, look what she doing. Look what she doing." You know, a lot of the times the reason why I bring that up, because my dudes told me something and I remember it as long as I live. My dudes told me, be careful. And she's not the only person that told me that. Somebody had pulled me to the side not long after that. And you'll see why I bring this up. Like the situation with K Michelle, you'll see how this correlates to people saying, what did she do, to deserve, to get the treatment that she got, right? So watch this. One particular time, this is why I say you have to be careful building people up. You see what I'm saying? You'll see why I say this. One particular time, long story short, I was trying to make the girl feel better because she was venting to me about, something she was going through. So I told her about the situation in the Chinese restaurant, be thinking I'm, making her feel better. I'm me thinking that, sometimes people need a little bit of encouragement. You never know how you can help people out by just relating to them or just letting them know, hey, it's okay, you know. And I told her about the situation in the Chinese restaurant because she was telling me how her boyfriend was beating her behind. And I was basically telling her, like, I never been in that type of situation before. But she was telling me how she tried to fight back, but she just can't win. She never can win. So I was telling her, you know, mind you, me and this girl have bumped heads ourselves. Both alpha females. Like I told y'all, two strong personalities do not mix. They don't mix. Somebody got to know how to be the background. So, right. So, look. So, boom. So, fast forwarding, I was telling her how I never been in that situation before, but I can relate to how she feels as far as going up against a dude and you can't beat him, but you basically trying to tell him like you're not scared of him, you're not gonna take no stuff off of him, like just retaliating. So I told her about the situation in the Chinese restaurant. So So I'm thinking, I'm thinking everything all right. She stopped crying. I'm thinking everything all right. So somebody had pulled me to the side and told me, be careful telling people certain things because depending on how the person feels about you, they glad that happened to you. So you see where I'm going with it? So I told my deuce about it. And my deuce told me, she said, because if a person don't care much for you, they either gonna act like it never happened to you, number one, or number two, they gonna say, if they don't care much for you, they'll say, well, what did she do to deserve that? Right? So boom. So my dude told me, I said, Mom, here I am trying to help her feel better about her situation. I don't even like the bitch. You see what I'm saying? But she was crying to me. She was venting to me. So I thought I was trying to make her feel better, basically telling her, like, hey, just like with the situation in the Chinese restaurant, hey, I couldn't beat him either. I know I couldn't beat him, but that was my way of retaliating, hitting him with objects, spitting back at him, slamming my truck into his, and wanted to do more. If I had if I had if I had the chance to, I would have did more than that. I know I can't physically beat you in a fist fight, but by no means do you think you about to walk up out of this door and not get touched by nothing in here. You're gonna get touched. Anything I can put my hand on, chairs, tables, anything, I'm gonna hit you with it, 'cause I know I can't beat you. So in that moment, and the Chinese people was letting me get off on him because he was trying to pick stuff up too, and they told him no. And he was just like, oh, y'all just gonna let her just keep throwing shit at me? And they just said, yeah, 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 yeah. So in that moment, that was my way of, you know what I'm saying, slamming, which, like my dude told me, you don't slam up your stuff for nobody. That's crazy. That's your shit. You don't be, anyway. I was mad. I wasn't thinking. But yeah. So boom. So more of the story, when that stuff happened to K Michelle, you get where I'm going with it. More of the story, when that stuff happened to her, I could relate to basically being assaulted by an N-word and people justifying it. People justifying it because, again, like she said, they feel like my dudes told me, depending on how the person feels about you, they'll say, oh, what did she do? Or I doubt that happened to her. So I could relate to K Michelle in that aspect where people justify something that happened to you. You see what I'm saying? So like I told y'all, that's one situation that made me realize you have to be careful being a listening ear to everybody. And basically, I'm trying to relate to you to let you know, hey, it's okay. I know how it feels. It wasn't until I talked to the police about it that I didn't even know if somebody spit on you, that is assault. That is still assault. And I told y'all, after that situation, that's what made me invest in a piece of steel. Because like I told the cop, what if the Chinese people didn't step in? What if he had hit me? What if nobody didn't call y'all? I told y'all, I said, what if that happened? And he said, well, I said, and what if I didn't have, something in my purse to protect myself? He said, well, if nobody called, if the Chinese people didn't step in, and if you didn't, at the time, I didn't have a piece of steel. And I said, and then he was like, and if you didn't have a piece of steel, so basically all three options were exhausted. I said, so where would that have left me? What would I have done if he had put his hands on me and none of those options were available? He said, well, you would have been out back. Plain and simple. He said, if he had hit you, if the Chinese people didn't step in, and if you didn't have nothing to protect yourself, you just would have been out back. If ain't nobody call us. Because I told him, I said, I told the cop, I said, if I had a pow, I would have laid him to rest. And he told me straight up, he said, you would have been in jail. You would have been in jail because spit does not equal, you know what. That's not equivalent. But if he had hit me, that's where stand your ground comes in at. And after that, I thought about that. I said, maybe, and like he told me, he said, as a woman, maybe that's something you need to think about. investing in. And like he told me, he said, long as it's registered, that's all I can tell you. And after that, that's what made me invest in a piece of steel. And that kind of gives you an idea of what the world is coming to when a cop is telling you maybe that's something you should think about. But nonetheless, let's go on. Okay, so here's the thing. Somebody had made a remark on one of the social media platforms in the comments, basically saying, they wonder if K Michelle ever received an apology for, what happened with her and Rasheeda and old boy. Basically how they downplayed, how Rasheeda really in particular downplayed K Michelle's story about Memphis putting his hands on her, allegedly, right? And I told y'all from the beginning that, back when it first happened, I believe Kay. I believe her, especially. Now, I will say this. When she was at the table sitting down with Rasheeda, I didn't see no tears roll down her face. But see, I'm not going to say I didn't believe her, but you know how you see somebody crying, but you don't see no tears down their face. So it's like, okay, where the tears at? Are they on their way? What? But I never discredited her. I just, I thought if I felt like this, even when you heard somebody tell a story like that, even if you don't believe them, don't tell them that, you know what I'm saying? How can I say this? Don't tell them that. Like, even if you don't believe them, don't say that. You see what I'm saying? Like, because that could come across a little mean-spirited when somebody tell you something like that, and then you come back and say something like that. That's one of those things that we've all had little thoughts in our head where we feel a certain way, but it's best like that old saying goes, sometimes you just got to keep some stuff to yourself. You just got to keep some stuff to yourself. We all have the right to our own opinion. Even if Rasheeda did feel that way, that's most definitely not something when somebody tell you something like that, I don't care whatever the situation is, whether it was spitting, hitting, whatever. Anytime a woman tells you something that she been through with any N word, whether it's in a relationship, a store, fast food place, out in the street, road rage, whatever. Anytime somebody tell you something, whether you believe it or not, that's not your place to say, I don't think it happened that way. Or I know this person through doing a da-da-da-da. I know they not this type of person, because like I always say, people can be one way in public, but then behind closed doors, they a whole nother way. I have heard people tell me how they were in a relationship, and I remember a lady telling me that went to my church how her first husband was a preacher. She was the first lady. And how when he on the pulpit, he one way, but when he went home, he was a whole nother person. How, people would never believe how he used to be at home. Because in public, he was a whole different person. So you cannot bank off of, well, this was my good Judy. He doesn't treat her that way, da da da. Because we've heard a lot of women say later on down the road how nobody knew they were getting their butt kicked because they put on a smile every day for the public, whether it was for their kids or because they weren't ready to tell nobody. Or I've heard a couple of people say they were scared to say something because they knew the dude was a nutcase. You see what I'm saying? So you cannot. I thought it was very mean-spirited and very insensitive of Rasheeda to say that, because, and to be honest, it spoke volumes about her character. Because I call BS when people say, oh, I only did it for the check. I only did it for the check. Because we've heard of a couple of celebrities that it's certain roles they just won't do. Like Ice Cube, he's known for turning down a couple of roles because anything dealing with slaves and stuff like that, Ice Cube has made it be known he not doing it. He said he not reliving that, his what his ancestors went through. He not reliving that. Who's another one? My old boss at another company I used to work for, his daughter used to play in Insecure. I'm not gonna tell you which person she was, but and no, she wasn't the lead lady, but let's just say she used to play in Insecure, and she has little roles here and there, but she always said, she told her daddy that and she told me too, she said she won't go play nothing getting naked. She said she won't gonna do nothing getting naked. Once she read the little script or whatever they get on, so they can rehearse their lines or however, so they'll know how the season gonna pan out or whatever. Once she see that she got to take her clothes off, she said she can't do it. So, and she lives pretty well. I mean, she don't have like no Beyonce money, but she does pretty well for herself. So, the thing is, oh wait, let me make sure I clarify this for people to say, wait a minute, you're trying to say Beyonce get naked. That's not even the correlation I was making. Because I know they out there, they take one thing and twist and twist and twist. That's not the correlation I was making. I was making the correlation that she's not a millionaire, but she makes decent money. Like, I don't know how much money that lady made, but I know she's not a millionaire, but I know she makes good money. You see what I'm saying? That's the correlation I was making. Just wanted to clarify, because I know there's people out there that take one thing and twist and twist and twist and twist. So boom. So with that being said, it was very insensitive, Rasheeda. It said a lot about your character. And I don't know, a lot of people were saying you got karma back through Kurt for how you did Kay. With the baby outside the merge and all this. I don't know. Like I told y'all before, I don't know if it was true. A lot of people were saying that was something they just did for a storyline. I couldn't tell you whether they did or they didn't, right? Either way, that's why I say if she did, that's something else that I feel like Rasheeda just do anything for a check. I remember when the situation happened with Kalina, she was saying how she only did that because she was trying to stay on the season. But it seemed like to me, I don't know about nobody else, but my good Judy, I'm not about to jeopardize my relationship with my good Judy for no check. Because when it's all said and done, when the show is over with, your good Judy's still gonna be there. It seemed like to me, Kalina was a very sensitive person, and she seemed like a very genuine person. And I just didn't like how she just, did her. Kalina was kind of likable to me. She put her, not to say she put her business out there, but she didn't come on the show trying to act like she was more than what she was. You know how some of them do. I've sold out arenas. I wrote for this one. I wrote for that one. Which we all know most ghostwriters, they say you'll be surprised who are the ghostwriters on some of these songs. Because I was reading an article and they said a lot of the time the ghostwriter is not supposed to, say they're the ghostwriter unless the artist approves on it. I don't know how that stuff go, but I couldn't even tell you if the article was stamped like as far as like they knew what they were talking about. I don't know. I'm not in music. I don't know how that stuff goes. But nonetheless, I thought it was fraud. So in closing, I know Rasheeda has not responded on that comment. They can at her all day long, but that does not mean she's gonna respond. One thing I can say about Rasheeda, one thing we don't see her do is a lot of the social media stuff. I will give her that. She don't, based on what I have seen, unless I have missed something, she don't do a lot of back and forth on social media. I don't ever even remember her making a post about anybody on social media. I will give her that. But I will say this. If K. Michelle had got up on that table and slapped the shit out of Rasheeda when she said it to her, I would not have been mad. It would have been deserved. But then you got the people out there that always say, no matter what a person do, that doesn't give you the right to put your hands on them. I think it's different when it's like a situation of female to female. As long as it's not like a bullying situation, I think it would have been justified. And in this case, Rasheeda deserved that slap. If it had happened, I wouldn't have been mad, because even like I said, even if she did feel that way, that's something that you keep to yourself. It comes across as very, it's like a mean girl move. Now I will say this, Kay. I told y'all in my last video how I felt about Kay when she played on Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. I told y'all, I feel that Kay is one of them females that, I put it to you like this. I have learned in life, whenever you bump heads with somebody, I've learned that from my own experience. You can always tell whose side people on by who they stand beside, who they go behind. I knew in the first season, when I first started watching Love and Hip Hop, I was younger. I think I was in middle school, high school, whatever, when Love and Hip Hop first came about, right? So it wasn't until I got a little older, had a little more life experience, understood people a lot better, and things of that nature, that I kind of understood. I give you an example. So y'all remember the infamous episode where Kay had I think they was at Aryan house or something. Was this the episode when Kay had threw a candle at Rasheeda? I think so. And Rasheeda had on some pretty bold earrings, and she had her head pinned up in like a little bun. And long story short, I think it was Aryan and Rasheeda, when they got into it, no, it was Aryan. Was it Aryan and Mimi? I can't remember who it was, but basically, they went behind Rasheeda, and Kay was standing there a couple of minutes by herself. And I didn't realize until I got older that, wait a minute, looking back on it, they was on Rasheeda's side. They was on Rasheeda's side. I didn't realize that until y'all know my speech impediment about to kick in. But anyway, I'm stuttering. But nonetheless, they went behind Rasheeda. They didn't. The K was standing by, and then they went back and like talked to her for a little bit. Go back and watch the episode. You will see what I'm saying. Like, as you get older, the little stuff you pick up on. What's another thing? So, to be honest, y'all, I know a lot of people were saying, Rasheeda owed that girl apology, this, that, and the third. I told y'all I have apologized to my worst enemy. And the only reason why I did it was because I went to see a prophet. And when I went to see the prophet, he told me, apologize to somebody that you basically despise. And it was one person in particular. I could not stand her growing up. The same person I told you about, y'all, about with the community college situation. And I asked the prophet, I said, what if I didn't do nothing to them? Like, and what if I apologize and they don't take accountability for their part? And he told me straight up, he said, they won't. He said, I'm here to tell you they're not. And they're not. But you have a mountain in your life that you need moved, and God will not move it until you apologize. So I never got my apology, but I admitted to the role that I played in it. And the mountain that he was referring to, he was right. It was crazy that he knew that. At the particular time, I was trying to get accepted into this particular university. But I didn't know and I didn't think that they would have accepted me, which they did. And I told you I ended up graduating from that school. So that was the mountain that he was referring to. So nonetheless, it's just the reason why I bring that up, because certain people in life, they just feel they don't do anything. They feel that they didn't do anything at all. They feel it was all the other person. And one thing I've learned in life from my own experience, anytime dealing with people like that and they feel like it's just all them, never them, you know what I'm saying? It's always the other person. They ain't do shit. You know, one thing I've learned in life, I don't know about nobody else, but I don't want those type of people around me. So, more of the story, um, if I was Kay, I wouldn't want the apology. Because first of all, it's long overdue. That's number one. Number two, too much has happened throughout the years. It's kind of stale at this point. And I hate to be the one to say when something is old, because I know I hate when people say something that's old, this and the third. But when I say stale, I mean it's bad. Like, it's bad that it took her that long to say something. And then number three, it's kind of like we had to force her hand. Rasheeda, you owe that girl apology. Rasheeda, you owe that girl apology. It's like people basically had to browbeat her into thinking that, or into acknowledging the fact that an apology is basically old. You see what I'm saying? Like, I give you an example. One time I was in church and I was crying. This was around the time I was going to community college when all that stuff was going on. I just had a heavy spirit. So one of the ladies at church that I was close to, she told my supposed to be cousin, just come sit beside me and rub my back, console me and stuff like that. And the whole time she did, she was sitting there. She was rubbing my back. She was like, huh, 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 huh. So I screamed at her right in the middle of church. I said, look, don't come over here with that phony shit. Go over there. I don't need that phony spirit touching me. And everybody was like, oh, you just cussed in church. But see, it was disturbing my spirit because it wasn't genuine. Which I apologize to the pastor. And he wasn't mad or nothing, but because he knew we had bad blood. We had bad blood between us. It won't. And out of nowhere, it just came over me. I'm like, go over there. Go over there. It's not genuine. You only doing it because people telling you that's what you should do. It's not genuine. Go over there. And she ended up going back in the choir stand out of all places, right? So anyway, you're supposed to be singing to the glory of God. But I'm gonna leave it alone. And y'all had the nerve to be judgmental of me about me and my provocative pictures. But this girl had a whole threesome. Now that's something I ain't did, and that's something I don't plan on doing in this lifetime. But you can judge me about me wearing provocative clothes, but you out here having a whole threesome just to keep a man. But I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to leave it alone. But nonetheless, that's just an example of how I wouldn't want it from her if it's not genuine. I don't know about nobody else, but I don't want nothing from nobody if it's not coming from your heart. I don't care if it's you trying to console me. I don't care if it's a favor. I don't care whatever it's supposed to be. If it's not genuine, I don't want it. So, nonetheless, to be honest, y'all, I know a lot of people were saying they'll never be friends after this and da-da-da. To be honest, y'all, I don't think, I put it to you like this. I saw one particular comment where somebody had put K. Michelle would never probably, fool with Rasheeda again. And to be honest, y'all, I don't think Rasheeda cares. I don't think Rasheeda cares. I think Rasheeda could give a F-U-C-K. First of all, Rasheeda is a girl's girl. Okay? That's one thing I have noticed in life. Rasheeda is the girl that has a lot of female friends. I hate to say it, but to be honest, most of the time in my experience, what I have seen, a lot of the times when a female is a girl's girl, if she's not a mean girl, let's put it to you like this. I'm going to put it to you like this. Let's say it's a group of 4 friends. And let's say one of them at least, at minimum, is a girl's girl. Out of that bunch, one of them is a mean girl. If not all of them. One of them is. And Rasheeda is one of the girls that, Rasheeda is a girl's girl. She's the girl that not to say a social butterfly, but I think I have always thought she was an undercover mean girl. To be honest, I told you I'm gonna do a video on how I feel about Rasheeda another time, but nonetheless, yeah, I don't think Rasheeda cares. She don't care. She got other friends. She ain't worried about K Michelle. And to be honest, she ain't like her like that no way. For her to say something out her face like that, discredit that girl's story, she ain't like that girl. I just told y'all. The only way somebody downplay a story like that of domestic violence or anything of that sort is usually for one or two reasons. They are telling you they don't believe it, or they asking what did you do to get that type of treatment. You see what I'm saying? Anytime when she said well, maybe he's not saying sorry because maybe that's not something he did, or what she say out her face, that was a nice nasty way of saying, bitch, you lying. Of course that man ain't gonna apologize to you because you lying. That was just real nice nasty. Most mean girls I know how to be real nice nasty. Most of them do. But nonetheless, Kay, now I'm gonna say this and I'm done with it. Look here, now this from me to you. Here. Look, one thing I noticed about you, you used to put yourself on Rasheeda too. You sure did. And one thing I noticed about you, I'm gonna say this. You one of those people that when you don't get your point across, you lash out. Right? So this is why I say this, right? I noticed looking back on a lot of the old episodes, you used to always tell people how you felt. But really, when you really think about it, if you look back at all them old episodes, the only people that really used to care and used to take your thoughts into consideration really were Jonathan and Brittany B. If you look back on the episodes and really see what I see, Lyrica played that shit dust. Rasheeda definitely did. Paris threw a drink in your face. Who's another one? Kurt told you how he felt, but I don't count Kurt and Rasheeda as two different situations. I consider that a combo deal because regardless, they husband and wife. Who else? Arian, y'all talked about it after the fact when Erica and all them was sitting at the table. So basically, she picked up on a conversation when she felt like it. Who's another one? The list just goes on. But I'm gonna tell you like this. You see how Rasheeda had discredited how you felt? I bet Brittany B wouldn't. And yes, I did bring it up again because I told you I didn't like the way you did Brittany B. Because little do you know, she could have been a real friend to you. I told y'all over and over again, two oddballs make great friends. And you could have had a friend with Brittany B, but you was so busy trying to fit in with them bitches that ain't care nothing for you. But I'm going to leave it alone. Oh, yeah. And by the way, for the people out there that kept saying in the comments, Rasheeda probably never heard from K Michelle again. I think I told y'all, for the most part, I don't think Rasheeda cares. She strikes me as one of those people. I get the vibe from Rasheeda that she's one of those people that before you'll get an apology from her, you'll never hear from her again. You ever met somebody like that? They rather just stop talking to you just so they don't have to apologize. Remember, Rasheeda didn't care much for K Michelle, no way. I don't care what nobody said, because anytime somebody will tell you something like that, and if you justify or discredit what they're saying, like I told y'all, one of the two, you don't care much for that person. Well, no sympathy in that conversation at all. She was not empathizing with that girl at all. Okay? Girl, look, Rasheeda full of it. To be honest, I don't think no love is lost. Kay went her way, Rasheeda went her way. And by the way, to be honest, when you really think about it, Kay Michelle has everything that Rasheeda ever wanted. The only difference is, actually, when you think about it, they both have what each other wants. Kay wants a family, with kids and stuff. Rasheeda has that. Rasheeda wanted a music career, a successful music career. Kay has that. So I think it could be a little bit of, both of them could be envious. I always have felt that way because you got to think about it. To be honest, think about it, when Rasheeda first came on the scene, she did not have that store. That was something that, remember when Carly and Rasheeda was getting into it, but Carly had started her store before Rasheeda did. But I hate to say it, but that's kind of a good example of why, just because your stuff starts before someone else, that does not mean your stuff is going to be more successful. Because as we can see now, Rasheeda has branched off and has more than one press location. Versus Carly, people forget about that she has a store, because I've seen some blogs say that people forgot all about her store. But obviously it must be doing the hype for it to still be open. Now, I saw in the comments where someone had said Carly doesn't have a physical location. I don't know. She had a location on the store. On the show. Now, whether she still has that location, I don't know. But nonetheless, I think, as far as Kay and Rasheeda, I think it could be a little bit of envious on both ends. Other than that, no, no,